meatloaf in an air fryer. And to be more specific, an Instant Pot Duo Crisp and a Ninja Foodi Deluxe. And I'm going to use a product I've used many times before, and I love it. It works great. It's a HUNTS meatloaf starter, and it's really all you need. Now, they are kind of getting lit up on their reviews because they don't put the whole recipe on the can anymore. They've changed the label and they've changed the instructions. You have to go to their website to get the full recipe. Well, I'm going to show you how to get to it and where to find it. And we're going to make meatloaf in both those devices. I'm John Sanders, also known as Jelly 007. Let's make some meatloaf in an air fryer. Okay, so everybody bear with me that already knows this kind of stuff, but some people watching this may not. And all I want to say is if you have Google or some tablet with Google on it, you just touch, Google, then you type in HUNTS recipes. I've already got it right there. All I got to do is touch that. But you would type in HUNTS recipes, touch that. And then the first page that comes up is HUNTS, the official site signature recipe collection. You touch that. And then you come to their recipe collection. And it's got a lot of neat recipes. I'm not going to lie, there's plenty of them too. You could stay here all day. But we're looking for the meatloaf. And here's why. We're using their meatloaf starter that on the back of this can says step 1, it combined meat and pressed meat and then bake uncovered. But it doesn't give the full instructions. In fact, it says right here, for full recipe and more delicious recipes, visit hunts.com. Well, that's where we are. And we're going to touch the meatloaf recipes. All right, now the next part, because it's a little tricky to find this one too. We're doing the savory meatloaf right here. And I know people are probably already tired of hearing all this, but some people don't know it and I want to show it. So then once you get this page, you got to scroll down and look for savory meatloaf. And if this is the one you have, you touch that. All right, now this is a recipe for 1 9x5 pan. Well, obviously I'm doing 2 around 8x4s or whatever these two manufacture. I know this is an 8x4, the one from Ninja, and you can see Ninja on the bottom. And then the one on Instant Pot, it's a little smaller than that, but you can see it's made by Instant Pot. It's a silicone spring form loaf pan, and it's a pretty neat little device. We're going to see how it does with meatloaf. I've got 3.78 pounds of ground sirloin, which is what they call for. And we are going to use these instructions right here. Here's the recipe that we're doubling, but it's 2 pounds of ground beef for a single serving now, for a single meatloaf. It'd be 2 pounds, and then 1 can of the HUNTS tomatoes. It'd be 2 eggs, a cup of quick cooking oats, and half a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of ground pepper. Well, obviously we're doubling, so I got 4 eggs. I got 2 cups of oats. I'm going to use a whole can of this. I've got a teaspoon of black pepper that I ground up in there and put in that teaspoon thing, and a teaspoon of salt. And I think that's everything I need to say. So I'm about to beat these eggs just a little bit. I'm going to add all this to that right there. I'm going to mix it up, and we're going to put it in those baking pans and get these things preheated and get it started. Be back. Okay, so here they are in their pans, and I had a little extra, so what I'm going to do is either freeze this or put it in the refrigerator for soon, or freeze it and cook it later. But because I'm using smaller pans, I had a little left over. And by the way, here's what I usually use, and it's always excellent. I am experimenting a little bit with the oats. I did spray the pans with Palm, and you probably didn't have to, but I did. And here is our topping that's left over, which would normally, if you were only doing one loaf, it would be half this can that we're going to pour over the top, and then follow these instructions right here, which are preheat oven to 400, combined ground beef, half the season, blah, blah, mix in a 9x5, and then bake uncovered for 1 hour, and then remove from oven and drain well. Pour remaining seasoned tomato sauce over meatloaf, and then bake an additional 10 minutes and remove from oven, allow rest 10 minutes. And another thing right here I want to say is it says preheat oven to 400. Well, I've preheated these, and they have been preheating for a little over 10 minutes because I think them being warm helps absorb the heat of this pan and kind of gets it to brown on the sides a little bit. Maybe, you know what, I'm not even positive on that in this particular situation. But the next thing, and the most important, is I never, if it calls for 400 on the back of a conventional oven, I never use that temperature in an air fryer. I usually say 15%. Well, what I'm doing with this, which would be 15% from 400, would take me to 340. Well, I'm doing 350 on both of them. And as you can see, they're both preheated. Well, they've both been on for the same amount of time, so around 12 minutes. So what I'm going to do is raise the time back to an hour on both of them. And I'm going to set the Instant Pot. You know what? I'm going to put this glove on because it'll be warm in there. Now, I have trivets in there, and the trivets are in the lowest setting I could get them. And it's hot because I touched it with that hand, and it's hot. And yeah, you're supposed to use this thing right here, but I've found that it's not that hot. I've put a thermometer under it to see how hot it was when I set this down. It's not as bad as you think. It'll not hurt my countertops, I guarantee you, or I wouldn't be doing it. Not that you shouldn't now. I'm not saying that's how you should. I'm just saying that's how I do. So, time. We're going to set this one back to an hour and drop this one in. So, same thing here. I have a low trivet in there or something to hold it off the bottom. And we're going to let those go for a little while. Take a look at them. So, be back. Okay, for the fun of it, somewhere around 40 minutes in, 20 minutes left, we're going to take a temp reading. And it, in the center of this one, that's at the bottom. I'm going to come all the way back. Well, we're way higher than I was expecting. As a matter of fact, I'm going to close that lid, but we're done there. 160 is what I'm looking for. Let's see what this one is. I'm glad I checked, but this one is, wow, that's hot. In fact, I'm going to have to do that different. Let's see, right here. Oh, yeah, we are done on both of them. I'm kind of shocked. That's earlier than I was expecting. We're a little over on that one. I'm looking for 160. So I'm going to put it back in there. I'm going to turn both of these off. And now, so that was 40 minutes at 350. So what I got to do, I'm going to get those out because it caught me by surprise. And we're going to put the rest of the seasoning on here. I mean, the meatloaf topping on there. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so I'm not going to take them out. I've changed my mind. I'm just going to put them on with it in there. And the thing is, it's going to be real tricky to get those out without destroying the top on them. But there's not really a good way of doing it. So use this bowl right here. I'm going to make sure this is mixed up real well and something I can kind of pour from. And I'll show y'all what they look like right now. I'm going to go ahead and set this right here. And I tell you what, just to be what I'm supposed to be, I'll put this right here and put it on it. But I'll put a thermometer under there, and it's not as hot on the surface as you might think. So that's got nothing to do with it. I'm going to open this and it won't get too hot in there. In fact, I'll show you what they look like before I top them. And you can see we're going to pour this on. Like I said, I don't know how I'm going to get these out of that pan without making a mess. Put about half right there. And about half right here. Even divide them up a little bit. It's going to be messy when I pull it out, but hey, that's part of it. I'm going to push this around a little bit. And we're going to close this lid. And like they said, I'm going to hit broil on it actually. We're going to go up in temp to kind of get this right here to cook off real. It said 10 minutes, but we're going to watch it. We don't know. I'm not sure how long I'm going to leave it. Kind of like I said, I'm kind of jumping out of the gun because I was expecting I had another 10 minutes anyhow, but I didn't. So, here we go. I'm gonna close that one. I've already canceled both of them, so I can make sure everything's where you can see it is. I'll set this over here. And like I said, this meatloaf sauce has an excellent flavor. I mean, it is a meatloaf flavor. I'll put it like that. It's like my mother's was. I'm gonna hit broil. It's on 400, set for 32. Doesn't matter. I'm not even changing the time because I'm not leaving. This one right here, we're gonna do the same thing. Hit broil. Now this one goes to 450 on broil, so I'm gonna leave it there because it'll do 450. And it says 10 minutes, but same thing on it. So we're just gonna watch them both and see which one does best. Be back. Okay, we're almost at that 10-minute mark, which makes it pretty much a 50-minute recipe in the air fryer at 350. I'm going to take this one out. I'm probably gonna get all in front of the camera. I'm gonna set this one on this side. Well, it'll be obvious. One's in the Ninja pan and one's in the silicone Instant Pot. I'm gonna set that right here. And I might even use this to take that out. I think I will. So we're gonna let those rest for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. Not in a hurry. Okay, they've sat about 15 minutes, and I was talking about how hard they are to get out. Well, this is gonna be easy, or it should be. Let's just see. So, pull that out. Set that there. Remove the springform liner. And that worked pretty well. I'm going to have to do something with that, but I'll put it right here for now. And then I'm going to move it over to here off of that glass. And that worked really well. It is hot, even though it sat for 15 minutes. Next one's going to be this one. And I'm going to try and cut around it. I don't know how hot it's going to be. The pan's not bad. And it has shrunken a little bit, so it might be easier than maybe it'll be easy. We'll see. Get this out of the way. Put that right there. I'll move this. In fact, I could get under it. It don't feel like I can. So I'm gonna try this trick right here, which is 2 forks on each side. And that worked excellent. So, now I'm gonna let them sit just a little bit longer, then we're gonna slice them up. I'm gonna slide them to the center right there. But I'll be back in just a second. We're gonna cut those up and eat some of them. All right, let's see how they look inside. And like I said, they smell just like my mother's. They taste like my mother's. Well, the ones I've ate before from them that I've cooked in the oven. And they're done and they look excellent. There's nothing wrong with it. I was kind of in the light, but I'll get out of it where you can see it. And this one I think will be the same way. And you can see that looks like perfectly cooked meatloaf and 50 minutes. And then about 10 minutes of rest, or 10 minutes of browning that sauce on top. And there's nothing wrong with that. It looks excellent. So I'll get me a plate and I'll taste it just to make double sure. All right, so for the meatloaf, after it's set just a minute, let's cut a piece off and look even closer right now. And I think you'll find it as good as I do. Like I said, it reminds me of my mother's. And here's what it looks like right after it's been cut. And I'm gonna try and get where I can show you an up-close photo of it. And you can see it's done, it's perfect. I mean, it's not overdone. There's nothing worse than dry meatloaf. So, 160, 170 is as far as I take it. And then just a good flavor is what you want. And to be honest with you, that canned Hunts does that. It has, you can, I'm sure you may have your own, and a lot of people do, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just, I think I'm into a lot of things that are simple, and you're not going to get. Well, I've never tasted much that was any better than that. Just for the fun of it, I'll taste the other one also. And the Ninja and the Duo Crisp are absolutely identical. Even though I browned, well, that one at 450 and that one at 400, I mean, you really can't even tell any difference. And you can't in the texture of the meat either. They're both fantastic. I will say watch your temps, because I think that's what happens to meatloaf a lot of times. People take them to 200 or whatever. They don't, they're not monitoring. If you take an instant read thermometer and after 160 stop it, y'all heard my spill on thermometers. They mean a lot. They mean a whole lot. But I'm fixing to eat this, and excellent, excellent flavor. As good as my mother's. I really think so. Anyhow, y'all come back to see me. Again, Jelly 007, kitchens bring families together. All of that, I believe it all. And I love y'all all. Y'all come back to see me. Cook some meatloaf in your Instant Pot or your Ninja Foodi. Bye-bye, y'all.